Today, we are going to unpack a massive global revolution that's pretty much hiding in plain sight. It's disguised by an acronym you've definitely heard and probably use, STEM. So let's get right into it.
So get this, by 2030, which in economic terms is basically tomorrow, the world is projected to have 85 million jobs just sitting empty. And no, it's not because there aren't enough people. It's because there's a huge mismatch in what we can do versus what the world needs us to do.
And this quote just nails the problem, doesn't it? Think about it. We're building this incredible future with amazing technology, right? Like super advanced electric cars. But we're forgetting to train the people who can actually engineer and install the charging stations to run them. It's a fundamental crisis of capability.
Now, the engine that's driving this crisis is what experts are calling the twin transition. We're all trying to navigate these two gigantic shifts at the exact same time. The digital revolution, AI and quantum computing, and the green revolution, our move towards a sustainable circular economy. It's a perfect storm.
And if you look at the data, you can see just how bad the problem already is. Almost 80% of small to medium-sized businesses in the EU literally can't find workers with the right skills. And at the same time, 30% of our 15-year-olds are failing basic math and science. The pipeline that's supposed to connect education to the economy, it's broken.
So how in the world did we get here? Well, to really understand STEAM, you have to look at its origin story. And it wasn't born from some, utopian dream about better education. Nope. It was forged in moments of pure, unadulterated national panic.
It all goes back to 1957. The Soviet Union launches Sputnik, and that little beeping metal sphere, it caused a paralyzing shockwave across the West. The thinking was, wait a minute, if they can put a satellite in orbit, they can put a nuclear warhead on our cities. And the response was swift, the National Defense Education Act of 1958, which poured a ton of money into science and math, basically as a geopolitical defense mechanism.
And from there, the whole framework just kept evolving. In the 90s, the National Science Foundation tried to brand it as SMET. Spoiler alert, that didn't work. In 2001, it was brilliantly rebranded to STEM. Then in the 2000s, global PISA test scores created a whole new kind of economic panic, which took the STEM movement worldwide. And finally, the A for arts was added, recognizing that pure calculation just isn't enough for true innovation.
And I have to share this detail because I love it. That first attempt, SMET, it was a total branding disaster. It was clunky, it was awkward, and educators apparently hated it. It just proves that even the most brilliant ideas can fail if the packaging is just terrible.
Okay, so with all that history in mind, let's take a quick global tour. We're going to see how different nations are adapting the STEAM framework today, each tailoring it to their own unique cultural DNA.
In Asia and Oceania, the focus is really on integrating with culture and community. South Korea, for example, talks about emotional touch to make science beautiful. China integrates ancient calligraphy with robotics. Singapore directly connects classrooms with actual tech companies. Australia teaches systems thinking, which is all about seeing how different parts of a complex problem connect, while New Zealand has this powerful model that combines modern physics with traditional Maori knowledge. So what you're seeing here is a philosophy of blending, not replacing. It's about fusing new skills with deep cultural roots.
Okay, let's hop over to the Americas, where we see two really distinct approaches. The U.S. tends to use a pipeline model, starting as early as pre-K to build a future workforce. I mean, it looks like play, but it's really about teaching the engineering mindset from age 3. Canada, on the other hand, is focused more on an equity model. They prioritize student-led questions and something called a low-floor, high-ceiling design. That basically just means the activities are accessible for everyone to start, but they can be scaled up to challenge even the most advanced students. So two different philosophies. One is geared towards economic output, the other towards universal access.
Europe is just a hotbed of innovation on this front. You've got Finland, which is literally erasing subject boundaries to study real-world phenomena like climate change from every angle at once. Then there's Estonia, a total digital-first society where coding begins in kindergarten. And you've got to love this, Denmark uses Legos to solve complex, wicked problems. Those are the big, messy challenges with no single right answer, like urban planning. It's all about teaching resilience and prototyping through play.
And the entire European Union is taking this so seriously they've set some really aggressive, quantified targets for 2030. They're aiming to dramatically boost STEAM enrollment across the board, with a huge focus on female representation. And the crucial point here is that this isn't just about social equity. This is an economic realization that you mathematically cannot afford to leave half of your population's brainpower on the sidelines. These targets show an urgent, top-down mandate for change.
So seeing that urgency, the next logical question is how? How is this actually done? All these amazing global models are great, but what does an effective STEAM lesson actually look like on the ground in a classroom?
Well, according to all the research, there are 6 things that are absolutely non-negotiable. The lesson has to blend subjects, it has to solve a real-world problem, it needs to be driven by student questions, build career skills, combine logic with creativity, and, this one's so important, it has to include time for reflection on what worked and what didn't.
The gold standard for structuring all of this is what's called the 5E model. Let's just walk through it real quick. First, you engage students with a problem, say a jar of muddy water. How can we clean this? Then, you let them explore with materials, filters, sand, charcoal, whatever. Next, and this is key, they explain their own conclusions before you ever give them the textbook terms. Then they elaborate by applying what they learned to a bigger problem, like designing a water filtration system for a whole city. And finally, you evaluate their process, their teamwork, their failures, their iterations, not just whether they got the right answer.
This contrast just perfectly sums up the whole shift. The traditional model is like saying, here's a finished puzzle, memorize it for the test. It tests for fragile memory recall. The STEAM model, on the other hand, is like, you're in an escape room. Here are some parts, build the tools you need to get out. It builds resilient capability. See the difference? It's like memorizing a map versus actually learning how to navigate the wilderness.
And this is where big initiatives like STEAM Forward come in. It's this massive project designed to synthesize all of these global best practices into a single, unified playbook. The goal is to make these advanced methods accessible to every school, with a special focus on neurodivergent learners, whose unique ways of thinking are often huge assets in this new model.
So it's pretty clear we're not just talking about a few new classes. We're talking about a fundamental rewiring of how we teach and learn. And this all leads to one final, really critical idea.
Look, at the end of the day, the crucial point is this. STEAM isn't just a trendy educational buzzword. It's not a fad. It is the essential, non-negotiable hybrid skill set that we are all going to need to survive and thrive in a world being completely redefined by those twin digital and green transitions.
And that leaves us with a final, kind of provocative question. Over the next decade, AI is going to get exponentially better at the raw calculation of science, technology, engineering, and math. It's going to design bridges, write code, and model climate data better than any human ever could. So, when machines can do all of that flawlessly, does the arts, become the only truly irreplaceable currency we have left? And we're not just talking about painting or music here. The A stands for our uniquely human skills: creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, ethical reasoning, empathy. It's the ability to ask why we should build the bridge in the first place, not just how. In a world of artificial intelligence, maybe our authentic humanity is our last and our greatest competitive advantage. Something to think about.